Welcome to Ask a Pastor, the place where we ask your burning questions about faith, life, and Jesus to a real live pastor. We have one of those here with us today. His name is Luke Parker.
Here I am.
Luke, welcome to Ask a Pastor.
Good to be here.
The question today that we have from our audience goes something like this. Is it possible to both be a Christian and believe in the theory of evolution?
Short answer is yes. It is possible. I know people who do, so right there, it's possible. There are some Christians who would say that I'm wrong there, and I just want to say as graciously as we can, sometimes Christians disagree about stuff, and I'm sure you could find different answers to this question if you went on the internet. And we want to be people who, because we believe in Jesus, disagree with one another really well. And so if you have friends or family members who would say this isn't possible, just pay attention to the fact that you need to follow Jesus even as you try to figure out what you can and can't believe as you follow Jesus. To be someone who believes in Jesus, to be somebody who's a Christian, you have to believe that God made the world. That God made the world before there was time, before there was matter, before there was anything. That God makes the world through Jesus Christ by the power of His Spirit out of the great eye of the Father. That God is three in one from the beginning, the Trinity. And that God will be there at the end of time. That God is moving creation toward His desired end. But how God does that is sort of a mystery. Genesis 1 through 3, for some folks, they'd say, well, it has to happen exactly as it says that it happened. This is functioning a lot like a science textbook or a history textbook, and if we ignore any one part of it, we're losing the whole story of the Bible. And I think that puts a little too much pressure on the book of Genesis. And I also think it's a mistake to try and have the conversation with atheists or even evolutionary theorists along those terms. Because the truth is the Bible is a little bit more interesting than that. The point of the book of Genesis is really not how the world was created, but why. Why was the world created? Why was humanity created? And what went wrong? If you can read the first 3 chapters of Genesis and miss that, then you're not reading it very well. We're talking about how sin came into the world and that God made humanity in His image and that we're fundamentally valuable creatures, that we're built for good purposes and that we've been twisted and we've gone astray. And the whole idea of Jesus dying on the cross for us and being raised to new life, setting us free from death and sin and all the other twistedness that happens in the beginning, that is really intimately connected to the book of Genesis. And so we do have to believe some things about Genesis in order to believe some things about Jesus. But I know people who have PhDs in biology or in chemistry or in physics, and they think that the theory of evolution works for how the world operates and how it came into existence. But they're much more interested in why, because they follow Jesus. Science does really well at explaining how and really badly at explaining why. And even people who love the theory of evolution would say, yeah, it's not a great explanation of why. And so that's the thing. We as Christians are people who love science, who really love the wisdom and the insight that it can offer us. But we know at the end of the day that God has revealed Himself in Scripture. And so we're not saying you have to believe the theory of evolution to be a Christian. We're saying it's possible to believe in the theory of evolution and believe in Jesus.
Yeah, I think the point underneath what you're getting at there is that the types of questions that Christianity asks are a little bit different. It's asking why questions rather than asking how questions. It's not as concerned with the mechanics as it is with the conclusions often.
Yeah.
I think that's a good distinction to make. They're asking different types of questions.
Yeah, they're getting different kinds of answers, which is what happens when you ask different questions.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Cool. Well, thank you, Luke, for an insightful answer on this question. Thank you guys for tuning in once again to Ask a Pastor.
Thanks.
See you next time.